you never know. I just minimized the browser, and I thought I was doing it to go read an ebook I just downloaded, and instead, here I am. And I have this journal. It's got a funny name, Sucky but True. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll read the journal. But I was going to use an avatar. I was going to use a little toy. Go figure. That's what I get for thinking. I'm telling you, hold your thoughts lightly. Life's a lot more fun that way. All right, this is from 1229, which was a 12 day. It was 12 Lamat, which is star or bunny. Rabbit, actually. First journal of the day. Now, this is different. So, don't be in a hurry. You're going to know if you're in a hurry because you're not going to want to follow along with the flow here. Got that? Here we go. Hi, friends. I've got a really different sort of journal for you tonight. It's going to require that you read a rather short posting that a friend sent me from a site that he follows. It's from the Common Ground Independent Media section of Rumor Mill News. Now, I am not sharing it because I think well of it. Rather the opposite. And nor does my friend. What I'd like to do is to share with you, to point out the things that jumped out at me while reading it. Why? I don't know, just 'cause, okay? So, I don't choose to read it into this journal. It doesn't have enough light to be worthy of that, but the link is here, and I think I'll also post it in the video so you don't have to click over to the transcript. So, please, if you're not in mind and in too much of a rush, do me a favor and push pause and take a moment to read it before continuing with this journal. I'll meet you back here. I hope this records this time. This is the first time I went to convert the file and it had nothing in it. So, I hope you have read the piece. Okay, there's an interesting perspective. There are some, perhaps many, who will believe what it says, and that's unfortunate. Here's what I saw, and I have 6 points for you. Please note the overall arrogant tone of it. I find this to be a sure sign of the dark side, whether posing as light or not. They are insanely arrogant. 2, there are clear internal inconsistencies, such as starting out by calling themselves our star brothers. Yet they go on to tell us how we will be nothing but their slaves. Quote, "You were created a slave race, and so shall you remain, to serve the Pleiadians. It is your destiny and your privilege for us having saved you from certain death and agony." Close quote. Talk about garbage. 3, another inconsistency is to point out how man and womankind has been enslaved and in fear. Quote, "Fear has kept you enslaved to overlords and despots." Close quote. Then they go on to tell us how we will be enslaved by them. While, quote, "You will thank us and be happy as you fulfill your divine destiny as servants to us," close quote. The only thing they ask of us? Well, complete obedience and service. Quote, aboard our ships you will be taught the roles of servitude. Unquote. Oh, and we will be so happy. Uh-huh. 5. They tell us we will be, quote, lifted to the place of selflessness, close quote. I guess it's our selflessness, for it certainly doesn't appear to be theirs. Quote, you will think of us as better than yourselves and be grateful for the experience of complete servitude. Close quote. Some selflessness, huh? And finally, 6. The pièce de résistance. This is how they close it. Quote, this is the decree of heaven, so shall it be. Close quote. Not. I guess that means they're telling us they are our new gods. Or wait, maybe the old gods? All over the world tonight, there are people believing in such things. And I can't tell you why. Dear sweet souls, seemingly unable to evaluate their sources, looking outside of themselves for truth and guidance, who will instead just render them trust and belief. These are the sleepling, the hypnotized ones, of course. Still, let's do what we can by speaking out or by prayer or whatever heart guides us into to help lift the veil of ignorance. As frequencies keep rising higher, it becomes easier for the sleeple to awaken. I'll close now, but not before requesting your blessings also for both the channel who brought this message through and even for the ones who sent it. Yes, of course, it's dark. It's ridiculous even to our eyes. Yet, if you ponder for just one moment what it must be like to be able to seriously speak such words, to be that lost to soul, to heart, perhaps divine mercy will move within you to send up a prayer for them as well. These are worse than asleep. They're quite lost to remembrance of who and what they are, what they once were. They're very far afield. If they don't awaken now, long and long will it be before they again have such a chance and opportunity. They need only once to be able to see themselves clearly in a true mirror to recognize their degradation from true self. More than evil, more than arrogant, they are just lost. This is ignorance, which has taken to itself more power that it can actually handle without losing the soul, losing contact with that. Now, I don't suggest we befriend or even try to talk to them, not at all. Please, don't be foolish. It is enough to call on their higher self or source to come to their aid, these who purport to rescue us. Okay, let's leave that behind. Are you ready? Then shake it off. Let it go, drop it. Gain this mastery of your own mind to be able to make it shift this way, where you choose, not where mind wants to go. Take our power back, even personally this way, in every way. What's next? Let's look at so-called good and evil, but before we do that, let's have a look at the main thing that's holding man and womankind back. Now be in heart and ponder just for 1 minute. Listen Let heart tell you what it is, this main thing holding man back. We'll have many and varied insights into what it might be, but I'll share mine with you. It's fear. As simple as that, fear. If you want one thing you can work with or master that will give you the greatest release and freedom, this would be that. Mastering fear will give you the biggest spiritual bang for the buck, the biggest result. So let's all stay closely in heart with this. Your inner or higher self will be showing you things, personal things. To be available and to best hear that, go within. Fear, as you may have figured, comes in many guises and disguises today. Anxiety is fear. So is shyness or nervousness. Did you know that even anger hides fear? Things with many and varied names turn out to be nothing more than synonyms for fear. How are you feeling? Is there any tension anywhere in your body? Do a quick scan. What do you sense? Chances are quite good that there is some tension. And my friends, this too is yet another cover for fear. Before we go any deeper into uncovering fear, how about we take a moment to take stock of what to do about it, how to respond once it's discovered. First, whatever you do, don't try to push fear away. It's wiser not to run from nor try to escape it. Here's my best suggestion. Just let it be. Give it the right to exist. Take a deep breath or two. Consciously relax the body. Fear brings with it great tension. Take your power back from the fear just by sitting there with it, neither attacking it nor running from it. Just be and let the fear be. After all, it's there. Allow it into your awareness, your presence, and recognize that it cannot hurt you in this moment. Take your power back from it and just self-observe. There is no bigger poison on earth. Fear beats ingesting heavy metals, GMO or genetically modified foodstuffs, inoculations, even weapons for the damage it leaves in its wake. Well, it just doesn't have to be like that. This is a very big part of the programming we've been subjected to. Yet, we're the ones with the power here. There's no doubt. It's a matter of how we handle free will and choice. To start, we've chosen to just become aware of it, and then to simply sit with it while watching the self. Only that, and it's enough. Truly, it is. You are far more powerful than you may have yet imagined, more powerful than mind can even conceive, 3D mind, though art can. At any rate, we know that for this one moment, this fear can do us no harm. So, we just observe. While we're observing, we make sure to touch bases with and to stay within heart or in the now, in touch with Eckhart's inner body or whatever your way is of staying centered. Now this is to cut fear off at the pass. Please ponder that. To be centered while in the presence of fear is to cut fear off at the pass. Can you tell me why? Do you sense it? Do you feel it? How can it be so simple to get such a hand up on fear? We seem to be doing nothing. Isn't that right? Uh-huh. Then in what way does this get the drop on fear? Well, it doesn't completely master it, but it gives us the advantage. What does your inner self say to you? Keep one ear close to heart throughout this exercise, this experience. There is no better answer. Not at the top of the Himalayas, nor in the monastery, in the best universities, not anywhere, than the answer our own heart shares with us. Well, here's the answer I've received, and often. When fear has the upper hand, we are cut off from our center, from heart, higher self, the now, however you call it. Fear takes us away from the self. Now, there are actual hormonal secretions that play a part in this. It's quite biological in addition to being mental and emotional. The R complex, or reptilian portion of our brain, preps the body for fight or flight, and we are cut off from our central core and from peace. If you'll ponder this for but a moment, you'll see what a huge advantage fear takes when we let it get the upper hand this way. Our intuition, our spiritual guide, our higher or inner self, the still small voice, all of them are cut off at the pass by fear. They are quite simply turned off. Now, it's not that they no longer exist. That's not it. Yet, if we cannot get in touch with them, well, they might as well be absent. Do you see? Once things have reached the hormonal response stage, it becomes more challenging to master. So, let's not let them get that far. Let's take the upper hand first. There are many ways, many empowering ideas you can choose to call on. Mind is a help with this. That choice is yours, but here's a suggestion. The first thing to call upon is the knowledge of who and what you are. And it's not the body nor the mind, not at all. You are not that. So, if you can just remind the body-mind, can pull gently but masterfully on the reins before it takes the bit between its teeth, you're in really good shape. You can start with a really deep breath, and then another. That both helps and also buys you some time for centering. A very wise choice. It also comforts the body, believe it or not. The body doesn't enjoy fear any more than you do. It too prefers peace. So far, we have two simple moves to make. First, remember who we are. And that is consciousness or spirit, higher self, source. Next, take some good cleansing breaths. Even if you didn't do anything else, this is enough to gain that initial mastery. If you tend to be fearful a lot, then use some sticky notes and fill them with empowering phrases. Place them around here and there, where your eyes will often fall on them. Now, once you get used to their placement, move them. Change what they say. Don't let self get into a rut with any of this. The point is to be more conscious, not less. And furthermore, play with this. Have some fun with it. Attitude is half of our work, For with a good attitude, fear plays a much smaller place in our life. Find the self. We've all heard this advice more than once. What does it mean? Can it be something so simple as this? Yes, it can. By quieting the body-mind, by gaining first advantage this way, you've established your presence within your place of power. You've put yourself in a position to be more than equal to the challenge fear brings. And once you get good at this, you'll even find yourself seated on your throne one day, there within your inner kingdom, within heart, reigning and ruling. You'll be amazed at how calm and empowered you are. Just as love is a many-splendored thing, fear is a many-layered one. No need to let that make you nervous, though. That's defeating the whole point. Be aware, that's all. When we realize that we've been deeply inoculated, not against, but with fear, well, we'll have respect for that fact. Be sure to keep your practice within heart. If mind gets a hold on things, you could actually end up with more fear. You could find the self nervously looking for lurking, hidden fears to pop out. You could be expecting them. Well, obviously that's not so hot. That's a typical mind response, though. How to handle this? Well, again, a couple of deep breaths. Remember who you are. Now, set your intent for all of your self-observing to be anchored in heart. Again, this puts you in the seat of mastery. Truly, it does. A good practice, if you're one who likes practices, is to always be as relaxed as possible. And then get used to that being the normal state of affairs. Let the body get used to it. Then let heart be in charge of monitoring tension. As soon as you find tension, pay attention. Notice it. That's what I'm saying here. Just notice, that's all. Tension is the first sign or indication of fear. Once the body-mind gets used to being relaxed, then when tension appears, it's much easier to notice by the contrast. Let's all get used to being aware of the state of the body. Very few of us have this level of awareness yet, but it's both simple and even enjoyable. We'll use less aspirin and such things as a side benefit. What's to lose, huh? Let's all set our intention to simply relax. There. What say you so far? It may sound deceptively easy. Do you think so? Yet, if you set these things up as basic habits, you've empowered yourself a lot more than you now know. You'll even live longer. I think that's great. More importantly, you will be a much tougher target for fear to occupy or even get a foothold in. Since fear is the number one challenge, I'd say that really counts. Weight for weight, measure for measure, I do say fear is the first thing to address for the fastest spiritual boost. It's the main tool of the powers that were, so that really cuts them off at the knees. Truly, my friends, once we master our fear, these guys and gals will have to go packing, or whatever they are. Once we know who we are and master staying in heart, and maybe remember to take a few deep breaths now and again, we won't be a target they can take down anymore. Being in heart is much like being in a hardened bunker deep underground. We're inaccessible to fear there, and that's a fact. It's not a hypothesis for me, it's my reality. But you've got to make that the case for you too, and I can't give you that. Mastery is not a spectator sport. Besides, this is fun. It can be, if that's your choice. It's up to you. And this is where attitude comes in. It may seem to stay in the background, but it can be a big part in your empowerment. Choosing your attitudes instead of having them handed to you, instead of giving situations a knee-jerk reaction, is clearly an empowered position to take. Well and wisely chosen attitudes, well developed, are a powerful part of our journey. Or they can be. Again, of course, it's a choice. And I think this is enough. Were I to continue here, it could just turn into mind food. It would be too much. Heart tells us also what is enough in any circumstance or topic or conversation. Heart is simply amazing. It's actually divine. The real trick is, though, that we first must empower heart before it's in a position to empower us. It seems only fair, doesn't it? Again, it gets back to free will and how we use it. Not only would this quickly become a planet of peace if enough of us, or a few of the right ones, took this route, it would even go farther than that. We would quickly find the self taking mastery over more and more of our life. These things we've discussed position us for this to occur. Positioning like this is a silent partner who is always present, who has our back. I'd say these are excellent choices to make, great habits to adopt. We speak of getting rid of toxins and contaminants, and heaven knows that's wise and useful. Yet there is no greater toxin, not just to body and mind, but to emotions and our spiritual path, than fear. No, not one greater. And this has been the main tactic of the powers that were in putting all of us to sleep. Insert fear, turn screw, keep them howling. Well, that's what our souls do under such pressure. Do you see? Do you ever sense yours crying out? Man and womankind would be completely unmanageable having mastered fear. No more could we be manipulated as before. And by not just knowing, but ever remembering our divine nature, we'd stand tall in the presence of their darkness, knowing we're not born, so we can't die. Bodies do, not us. They haven't that power over us anymore. Now, just imagine what this would do for our world. Seriously, the Illuminati, the powers that were, would simply be forced to leave. By running things through keeping us fearful and asleep, they were able to manipulate our world into this mess and to be well fed all the while. Their main food, their protein, if you will, is simply fear. To them, there's nothing more delicious, except perhaps terror, which is yet another flavor of fear. They literally would have choice taken away from them, for if they chose to stay, they'd all starve. I kid you not. Plus, those entities and critters that hang out in our auras, our bodies, our minds, would also have to evacuate or starve. There is not one body on this planet that isn't infested with these sorts of things. Ken pulls them out of this body all the time, along with various bacteria, virus, fungus, other parasites. Now, I know it isn't pleasant hearing about such things, but do consider it won't be that long before our inner sight will be opening up for all of the light beings. Yeah, you. Wouldn't you rather know the score ahead of time so that you don't get so startled on first seeing these things? Knowledge is power, right? So take it to heart and stay out of mind with it. And remember to choose to have a good time. Bottom line, my friends, it's all a choice. Let's both make good choices for ourselves, and as we do, we'll be supporting others to do the same, even subconsciously. We're balancing out the energy of the whole planet here. And it's a big part of what we came in to do, to help our brethren carry the weight. Well, by following such a program, we not only do that, we massively lessen or lighten the overall weight to be borne. Think of the power of that. Are you up to it? Heck yeah, you know you are, my friend. You are higher self. You are source. And there is hardly a more loving way you could choose to be. Self-mastery is where it's at. Everything works from micro to macro. Check it out for yourself, see if it doesn't. And furthermore, it's all fractal and entangled. I'm telling you, it could hardly get better than this. And my friends, we are all as empowered as we choose to be. The tiniest thoughts, the tiniest actions, the tiniest things can blossom this way into total God mastery for the whole planet. And just think, they all start right inside the self. Totally awesome, huh? I think it is. But of course, you get to make your own choice. Love, laughter, and namaste.